For those of you who'd like access to this content, follow the link in the description box, visit our Patreon page, and subscribe to the Black Kluge tier. For a mere $5 a month, you get access to the alternate Sunday episodes you've been missing, only available on Patreon, as well as the weekly Tuesday episodes. But wait, there's more. If you subscribe to the Black Kluge tier, you'll also get 2 weeks advance notice to our Thursday sessions. And if you needed any more incentive, when we have bonus episodes, Patreon is the place where you're going to find them. Also, don't forget to check out Teepublic for our great swag. The link is also in the aforementioned description.
This Travolta story is like the most wonderful, loving story ever. To say to someone, you've done it already, that's a pretty profound thought.
And everything's taken care of. So
nice. That's thoughtful. So you
thought this was something you should do?
Yeah, because I didn't want my son to have to go through it, and I didn't want Stephanie to go through it.
Can I say something? That is the most loving thing you could do. And says, we got to work on your act. He kicks everyone out of the room and says, there are certain things you could be doing. He goes, your jokes are good, but I want to talk to you about owning the stage, your presentation. That is such a loving thing. What a hustle. It really is. And the other thing that I say, it's a romance between you two guys. Because the fact that you had an agent before Matt, and then you said to Matt, hey, Matt, I got an agent. Why don't you go talk to him? I want to share him with you. I got to tell you, you might not think that's a big deal. I think that's a big deal. I would be like, fuck Matt Damon. I do not want to. He's pretty good. I don't want to share my agent with him. I want my agent focused on me. I need some separation from this guy. That is the most loving thing you could do for another human being, to say, hey.
Really is.
And when I think about your early life, I thought that you would be the guy who would be filled with anger and resentment because you lost your mother at 14. I always say this, how are you so kind and loving and not bitter about that experience? I'm a father of 3 daughters. And when my babies were born, I love these, you look at them and I get the chills thinking about how exciting it is, and they're learning and they're growing, and then they start to walk, and you're so in love with your child.
What I'm saying is the fact that you were too busy for the kids and other things was not.
I wasn't too busy for the kids. I spent lots of time with my kids, but when I needed to.
I mean, that's when you wanted to.
Right.
And what happened?
Well, our relationship as a couple fizzled.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
It happened from, it's just like the same, you've gone out with guys that, you're the boyfriend before Mr. X, where things for some reason go sour.
Yeah, it's because you're not there.
I know. Emily called me. She goes, Dad, I talked to the New York Post, and I don't know what happened to this article.
Right.
And I said, I go, it's all right. I read it. She goes, the headline was that my daughter's afraid to date. Meanwhile, she was just in a relationship. I don't know what. I said, what's that about? She goes, I don't even know.
So how did they get that?
I don't know. But my daughter is fantastic. My 3 daughters are fucking amazing. And I'm very blessed. I have such a great relationship with them. And I really do. And
Welcome, ladies and gents, to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm your host, as always, Fillmore, a.k.a. Jim Fix, and with me for this particular mini saga is Mr. Cary. How are you, sir?
Good, doing well. Just trying to stay cool out here in this heat.
No kidding. What's the temperature right now?
Oh, my God. I think there's I keep getting these alerts on my phone from the Weather Channel, excessive heat warning until Saturday, today at 8 p.m. Let's see. Current temperature is 111.
Jesus. So that's like 42 Celsius or so. Yeah. And it's dry?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it's pretty dry, but let me see here. It looks like we may wind up getting a thunderstorm, which would be great, but who knows if that's going to happen. But it's funny you brought up Celsius. I was gonna try to find that for you because I knew that's what you're more used to.
Yeah, well, I mean, like when you go into Fahrenheit, it's more like basketball scores, the heat. So I don't bother with it. But with conversions. But at any rate, guys, we're going to do something that was originally scheduled. It was going to be Sam and Cary, but they only got so far, and the audio was it was good. Like the content was good, but we, as obviously things progressed, this has to go another direction, and now it's I'm the replacement, I'm the pitch in. But this is the CBS lawsuit saga, and there's a lot of audio, a lot of video, and essentially we're going to let Howard hang himself by his own audio clips. So do you remember it at the time when he did this press conference? Because it was a CBS press conference, and then they were supposed to air this on Sirius, but they didn't. They got cold feet about covering it on Howard 100 News. Right. Yeah, of course they did. I mean, the wig is we all know that Howard 100, everything was completely censored by him, and he had the final say on everything. But that brings up another hypocritical thing. Remember when it first started and how he said that, they're going to be completely independent and they're going to work on stories. And what was the thing where it was like his ring? They reported on his ring and the cost of his ring that he got for back. That was the end of the Prague summer of Howard 101. And Howard 100 News. Yeah, yep. That's when the tanks rolled in. Yeah, full autonomy, and then it became like the March to Bataan, for the news news team, which started. I think it was after was not even the first year, it was the first 6 months where they got rid of George Flowers and they started axing personnel from 101 News because they realized it was only needed for filler while he was off the air. Right. Yeah. God, remember when Shuley was a part of it? Yeah, that was his essential. Like he became Whack Pack Wrangler / news, but you never really heard him do news. So I don't see the fucking point. What a bloated waste of money. At any rate, we're going to go on with the conference first, guys, and then we'll work our way into the CBS clips.
Now I'm being told that CBS wants to file a lawsuit against me, which I believe is a personal vendetta from Les Moonves himself. And I'll go into it. But, I thought it was particularly interesting that today, of all days, we read in the New York Post, Daily News, all around the country about the radio division. And what does it say in the paper? It says, record losses in ratings.
Now, this is just bullshit obfuscation. Like has nothing to do with the lawsuit. He just wants to point out CBS are idiots about when it comes to radio and like blah, blah, blah. And it means nothing. We could just pass right by it, but he's just trying to portray them as boobs. Meanwhile, it was something that, when someone that major leaves a radio division, and there's going to be a downturn in advertising, everything else, because you're struggling to find that void. What they learned since then is that you can't rest all of your marbles on one person. Right. And I was gonna say this at the outset. It's I know I'm the king of distraction here, but or going off the rails. But I'm telling you, for anybody that has the video and you're watching this, this is another exhibit in this is a wig or a hair system. It is. I am totally distracted by his hair and whatever that is on his head. Like, did you see when he scratched it? The whole thing kind of moved. Yes. I mean, this is an exhibit. There is no way that's his real hair. Of course not. Oh, and the other thing was, why do you think his lawyers allowed him to go on with this? Like this stupid press conference. Wouldn't good lawyers tell him, just shut the fuck up, Junior, we'll deal with this? Yes, they would. But he's a celebrity, so, they can't control him. It's kind of like it's like P. Diddy or these other celebrities that just won't keep their mouths shut. And I think I might have said this on at the other place about this. It's like as an attorney, I couldn't represent a person like Howard, because once we got to that point where I would say, listen, you need to not do this. And if he would have said, well, I'm doing it anyway, I'd have been like, you need another lawyer. Because I'm like, if you're paying me for my advice, for my legal advice here, and you're disregarding it. And this isn't going to work. Like I'm the lawyer, you're the client. I have a question. You said this before earlier in an episode. I can't remember specifically which one, but what was it that you'd have to do? You'd write not an exit letter, but something saying I can no longer represent you because of so and so on. You have to like a notice of abdication. I don't know what it would be. Well, no, I mean you would
the beauty of private practice. Let me put it to you like this. Like when I was a public defender, when I first started my career, like our clients would try to fire us all the time. Oh, that man, my lawyer sucks. He doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times the judges, would say, look, you're getting a free lawyer here. You're not entitled to a free lawyer of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to hire somebody else, that's different. But, basically you're stuck with your lawyer. Now, in private practice, the same thing could happen. The client can fire the attorney at any point. But the other side of that is the attorney can fire the client. The attorney could say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's when I was in private practice, I fired clients. It was rare, but I did it before. And usually every time it was because they wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't take my advice. I'd tell them to do something and they would do the opposite. Sometimes I would tell them, don't do X. And then they did it anyway. And then I'd said, look, didn't I tell you not to do that? This is going to hurt us. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I wanted to do it anyway. And I'd be like, you know what? You need another lawyer. I can't do this. And then,
well, I mean, yeah, at that point, you've got someone you can't control and they're not going to follow counsel. Then what's the point of continuing?
Right. The problem, though, is especially in criminal stuff, the problem can arise where where like say the matter's set for trial.
Gotcha.
And then you go into court and you're like, Judge, I'm withdrawing. And then as a private attorney, and I actually had this happen once in federal court of all places, and the judge was like, oh, so what? He didn't pay you and now you want to dump the case. And I'm like, no, that's not it at all. And what I wanted to say was, did you even read my motion? But he's a federal judge, so I didn't say that. But I said, no, Your Honor, that's not the case. And what wound up happening in that particular instance was this is all like super technical, but he sent it down to a magistrate judge to hear my reasons. And so, and then I went to a different judge and told the judge, look, this is why. And then I went into the kind of the detail about what was going on with the client. Okay. But still, you have to protect the client's interests too. You can't totally, you can't
sell
them out.
Exactly.
Right. So, but anyway, I guess the point is, with somebody like Howard, there's no way I could have represented him because you're right. I would have been like, what are you talking about doing a press conference? What the hell's the matter with you?
Yeah. Like the press conference is for when the trial's over or,
correct.
If there is no lawsuit and if maybe it's upcoming, you haven't been served yet, let's say. Right. But even then, if you know it's coming, you still want to shut the fuck up because you don't know what's going to be in that fucking document.
Exactly. And he's like, oh, I'm hearing word they're going to sue me. And, I'm like, what does this accomplish? It doesn't accomplish anything.
Right. So as we're playing the video, guys, we're going to explain little by little what this lawsuit entailed rather than give you all the bullshit minutia before we start.
I left CBS. They had 14 months to prepare for me leaving. And lo and behold, we see already that the decision to go with David Lee Roth, Adam Carolla, a guy named Rover, and all these morning shows, the radio division at CBS is in shambles. It's in shambles. They are getting crushed. Ill-prepared. Les Moonves and Joel Hollander, the two stooges, are running this radio division right into the ground to record losses. I just read in the paper that Les Moonves, and I read this. I don't know why it was so covered up. $9 billion in losses under the tutelage of Les Moonves.
Tutelage. The other thing is, guys, this was not flipped. Usually very often I flip the videos just in case there's an issue getting them on YouTube when I have to post them there. But this one I didn't. Why? This is completely his wrong side. Why is he insisting on when the cameras? I think there's too many cameras. He doesn't know which one to look at, so he's picking the one that he thinks is on and going for it. And instead, what you got is this mountain of fucking tendrils. attacking this camera.
And it's like staring into a black hole. I mean, there's, I'm like, oh my God, there's nobody that has hair that dark.
Right.
No one, not even.
Yeah. You know when they mosaic like details out of a person's face, it's almost like there's a black mosaic that made of tendrils. A black cloud.
Now we're radio division.
I've never seen like a young person, like someone in their 20s with a full thick head of hair this dark before. Ever.
There's no way. My hair started graying. In my like mid to late 20s. I started getting the first gray hairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like it's different for everybody. There's just no way. It's great.
Record losses in ratings, I would suspect in revenues, not to mention the stations I left. But the Jack FM format is failing. We saw the New York ratings, the Arbitrends come out. I haven't seen them directly. I only read from the newspaper. And you've got a situation where these two guys don't have their eye on what's important.
And by the way, guys, we stated this in an earlier episode, he was already out of the top 10 in at the New York market for advertising revenue. So he was falling, like he wasn't as good as much money as he was making. He was making less for them. I mean, this is the whole impetus to go to Sirius. Him and Don sat down and said, look, we are going to get lesser and lesser contracts as time goes on. Your influence is clearly waning. This is a trend.
Oh my goodness. And you just think about the fleecing that they did with Sirius. You know what I mean? Like the shareholders at Sirius should have been in an open revolt about that the money that they gave him.
Yeah, and when we did that Marbles episode, you recall I read that abstract that said that Mel Karmazin actually was against giving him that big contract.
Right.
Like that initial contract, because Mel didn't have a part in it. He was at Sirius, but he was like, no, this is no incentive for him. You're giving him too much money to begin with. You need to give him a decent contract to come in, something instead, like at least what he was making at regular radio, and then make the incentives the real carrot. Instead, you give a guy like $500 million, which is, let's say, 4 times or at least 2-3 times maybe what he's going to earn at regular radio. What does he give a fuck if those bonuses happen?
Right. And I can remember him saying like on the radio on record, I think after he got to Sirius, about how, there's no ratings here. There's no I don't have to worry about that stuff.
I use that in one of my intros, actually. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. They don't need ratings here.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It should have been. I mean, you see it in. I know you're a big sports fan like I am. You see it in athletics sometimes when these athletes, sometimes, not all of them, especially not the great ones, but some pro athletes, they get that huge amount of money, and then all of a sudden the production drops off, and they kind of lose their eye of the tiger. Yeah, I mean, it happens with boxers a lot. Andy Reese is an example, a heavyweight from a few years ago.
Yeah, it's and I don't know that it's necessarily money based. It's just a matter of like projection. Like with two sports I follow, soccer and hockey specifically. You give that guy, like, you're getting it. He's getting it based on the performance so far, and you go look at, well, he's had 3 50-goal seasons. He's probably going to get a 4th and whatever. We went on top of this, and then all of a sudden now it's 40 goals, then it's 35. And so you've got a guy like, he's worth quite a bit of money, but you guys overpaid clearly. And so with Howard, it was the same situation. And the thing that I found most fascinating with him and the incentives and the deals, at one point he goes on the O'Reilly show, and I'm going to cover that with Bob. And that whole saga with the O'Reilly appearance where Bill just tears him a new one. And he says, is it my problem if they make a profit? Is it my issue? And meanwhile, this is, what he was planning on, and he signed in October of 2004, he signs with Sirius, and he does the announcements. And we'll go into those clips later after this, a bit of this press conference. And what he really needed to do was get to the second level of subscriber bonuses before 2006. He only got to the first and beyond a little bit, but he needed, I think it had to go like 2 million and then 4 million and then 6 million in those increments of subscribers. So,
and those were the only, like when you talk about incentives, that really was the only incentives that he ever really had were subscriber numbers. And then, you know, that's why they tried to fudge the XM numbers in there, because they didn't meet them.
Yes.
Right.
Well, you mean that when he tried to sue them for 300 million later on?
Exactly. But that, you know, like he's right in the sense that they never made the incentives at Sirius ratings based. Right. But the incentives that they did give him were based on subscriber numbers, and he was forever trying to fudge or find numbers where they didn't exist or that you couldn't attribute to him.
That's right. In order to trigger those other bonuses. Correct. So what I think he and Buchwald had to know on some level, if he didn't get to the second level to 4 million before he started, he was going to be dead in the water, because there wasn't going to be this massive 10 million in the New York area buying Sirius radios to get to him to pay money. They just weren't.
They didn't make enough stilettos for that to even be a possibility.
The other thing was, and I'm sure Sirius were not happy about this, him double dipping and double charging for Howard TV, which was a failure. Let's call it what it is, because he couldn't get an actual network to subsidize it. Right. Yeah, that's very true. So he didn't roll it out slowly. He decided, 3 months in, by the way, guys, here's Howard TV as well. Or not 3 months in, but there was already Howard TV going on, but obviously he wasn't featured until he was able to start. But they were already in a holding pattern, and so I got to pay I got to pay to listen to him and for the Howard TV thing. There's not a all-in-one package.
Well, who foot that brings up an interesting question to me. Who foot the bill for Howard TV as far as the production, the video, all that stuff, the editing?
Again, he'll claim it was in demand / Sirius, whatever they paid for it. But again, I don't believe that. I believe he got the 100 million a year. That was the operating budget. Mm-hmm. He pocketed the most of the money. He decided what they were going to he figured out how much they should be paid. Then he pays Sirius back out of that money. Right. So he pays Sirius. Sirius becomes the middleman. They dole out the checks, but he's been providing them the money through his operating budget.
I was thinking, what was it? I was talking to somebody the other day about I had an issue here at the house with regard to some potential water damage that wound up not being that serious. But I was talking to a buddy of mine about it, and he goes, "Oh man, you make a claim and you get, say $8,000, and then you find, some contractors, right? Yeah, you get them to do the work for $2,000, and then you just pocket the rest."
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm like, yeah, that sounds legit. But that kind of sounds almost like what Howard was doing. I mean, if he had to, like you said, if they fronted him or gave him $100 million and told him, okay, this is yours to do what, because I know that Howard TV was a total bare bones effort.
Yes.
He was paying those guys peanuts to do what they did. And he might have split the cost with In Demand or someone else. You know how he is. He doesn't ever want to share marbles with anyone.
Yeah, it's possible, but I still think he footed the bill because it was a vanity thing. He had to have a video component, and if they weren't going to pay for it outright, then he said, "Okay, I'll do it, but what's the least amount of money I can shell out to get this to happen?" And I think go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He wound up hiring the E guys too, right? After E shut the show down.
Yes, so those guys, I believe, continued. I don't know if they continued to work at E until he finished. I think they did, and then he decided, okay, we're gonna sign you. But again, there was the Sirius problem. Redditor who said, and it was probably Richie Wilson, but who knows? Richie denies it, but it seems to all fingers seem to point to him, or at least information that he gave somebody that he took 95% of the budget, and the rest was left to split. to them. So that's why they were having such technical problems as well. They needed better tech than they had, and they were constantly in a medium like that. You got to upgrade constantly.
Sure. Yeah. The video. I mean, the technology's changing. So right. And you know as well as I do, sometimes, all the time when the new technology happens and you have to get it, it's usually expensive. And then, the cost goes down over time.
Yeah, totally.
But, yeah.
So if you saw the movie Wag the Dog, what do you do if you're Les Moonves? Distract the media. Let's have a lawsuit against Howard Stern.
Exactly what Howard's doing right now, distracting the media. It's total projection.
It's Wig the Dog.
Yeah.
And they've been threatening me for months.
You just might have come up with the title of the episode.
I said, I'm going to stand up to this guy, Les Moonves, because here's a guy who doesn't stand up to anyone. He didn't stand up to the FCC, and now we see what's happened as a result. This guy didn't stand up to Clear Channel Broadcasting and other media outlets that wouldn't pay me money they owed me. He backed out of lawsuits. Les Moonves fired 2 producers, the CBS Evening News and Dan Rather, because they're easy targets. Those are easy guys to get. Les Moonves didn't stand up at a Ronald Reagan movie that he produced for his network and was afraid of the religious right, and he wouldn't even fight back and air his Ronald Reagan movie. But I'll tell you who Les Moonves sues and who he goes after. Talent. Because he thinks we're easy targets.
Well, actually, sometimes in the situations like what CBS had to do, it's easier to go after talent by far. It's cheaper, too.
I mean, I'm wondering why Les didn't go after Howard for defamation.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's certainly a case to be had here. So, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe he thought, fuck it. I'll be happy just taking all his Sirius money from him.
But again, I if I were his lawyer, I'd be, you know what I mean? I'd be rushing up to him, telling him to shut his mouth. Like I'd be putting my hand over his mouth.
You'd be duct taping his gums.
Yeah. Like, look, will you shut up or I'm out of here?
Yeah.
And I'm going to stand up to this guy. I'm not going to allow it. I'm not going to be intimidated, and I'm not going to be bullied. Let me tell you what's in his lawsuit that they're going to file.
This is after you cried in his office like a bitch.
Right. Ooh, Les.
I love when he gets talking like Rambo.
CBS is saying they are suing me because they claim that I entered into a secret agreement with Sirius Satellite Broadcasting.
You did. You didn't give them any. Input. What part of the problem is, guys? He was under contract to CBS. They had the right of, I don't know if it's first refusal, but they had the right to be informed of any new dealings he was making while under contract to them to see if they could.
Right.
Let me see if I got it here. Hold on.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. It's pretty standard language in most contracts, right? Like if, you contract to work X amount of years for a place, you don't go and try to work for another one.
Yes, it says here one of the major points in the CBS lawsuits was that CBS was required to receive notice of any radio projects being developed by Stern while under contract. He was to provide CBS with first opportunity to discuss participation in projects related to radio. As per the contract, CBS was entitled to 40% of the net profits. The day after his conference, Howard would discuss a meeting with Joel regarding a potential move to satellite. I sat in a meeting and Joel said, "Are you talking to satellite? If you guys are talking to satellite, let me negotiate the deal." I walked out of there with my agent and I go, "What does he mean by that? Why do we want him to negotiate?" I didn't even understand what he was talking about. Whether or not CBS could enforce a stipulation in the contract based on future endeavors commencing after his current contract is an argument in itself. However, by accepting a bonus from Sirius for accomplishments while under an exclusive CBS contract, the deal would absolutely have to go through CBS first.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
No, I kind of get that as far as they can't control his future after his contract is up at CBS, but I mean, while it seems pretty clear to me, while he's under contract with CBS, you're not supposed to, be negotiating with other entities. And I mean, it's pretty standard, right?
I suppose so. But then he got pissed off. So he did this under the table. And meanwhile, there's two things. First of all, how much do you believe that how easy is it to believe that Ronnie, knowing he was driving this asshole to Sirius, like, you know, to negotiate, wasn't buying stocks in Sirius, like, you know, immediately.
Right. Correct.
Like when the was it, I can't remember the audio, but Chauncey Hayden went on. I think he was talking to who was the God? I can't remember the guy, but he was talking about it, and IRS agents came in, or he, like, you know, they were looking for Chauncey, basically saying, do you have knowledge of his insider trading? Because there could be a violation here based on what you were telling that, what was his name? Neil something.
Right. I remember that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I thought for some reason, I thought you were talking about Crazy Cabby and the issues he had with the IRS, but this is Chauncey and the insider trading. Yeah. That's two separate things. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that. And also, I just think of Stuttering John, him getting pissed off that Stuttering John didn't tell them he was going to the Tonight Show. Maybe we could have done something for you. I'm like, you were never, I'm certain Stuttering John didn't have that in any contract, that he had to go through them first.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure of it. But these things are kind of standard. I might have used this analogy when I was talking to Sam about it. But for instance, when I went back to the county. I shut my private practice down and went back to work for the county. But one of the things that I had to agree to and sign off on was that I wouldn't practice law privately.
Okay.
And my boss told me, he goes, oh man, they're real sticklers about this, Cary. It wasn't as bad as this years ago. He goes, but what happened was an attorney, you know, came in from the outside, and he was still doing, you know, a few cases here and there on the side privately.
Yeah.
And then he got jammed. The clients wound up suing the lawyer for legal malpractice, and he didn't have any malpractice insurance, but he was working for the county, and the county basically had to cover his legal malpractice claim.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, and they wound up shelling out all this money. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, but I guess the point is that, you know, that your employers can contract you to prohibit you from doing certain things while you're working for them. And if
certainly.
And if you don't do them, you violate the contract.
That's right.
Yeah.
They also say that I entered in for secret compensation.
Yes, you did. And that's the stock options that we're talking about, that he, like, if anybody listening to him from 2004 onward, and we're going to play a bit of that audio because there's a lot of it, unfortunately. If you didn't think that he had a piece of something behind the scenes, because this is pay radio that he's going to, pay satellite, then you must be in cuckoo land, because like the only time he goes on to plug stuff is if he's got money behind it. The one time he didn't was private parts, and that's because he was contracted by Reicher and whoever, you know, whoever Ivan Reitman said, you're going to plug this fucking movie and make it a success. That he didn't share in the profits was irrelevant, because he was contracted to do this like any star would. But otherwise, he's going on to promote Sirius to sell radios. He's going on to promote whatever fucking brand of something. If he's going on to when he was on Tom Snyder, he yelled out a 1-800 number that they bleeped. So he's only going to do press when he feels he's got to get something out there to combat something, or if he's selling something.
Right. And I remember specifically that they gave him a boatload. I'm not saying they gave it to him at this stage, but he wound up with a boatload of Sirius stock. And then the second he could cash them, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like that whole, and then he later on was crying, oh, they wanted me to be a partner. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's why they gave you all that stock, because they didn't think you were going to sell it, you know, the second that you could. They thought that you would try to make the company itself more valuable, so your stock would be more valuable.
In good faith, yeah. No, the stock's in the shitter. Anyway, let's keep going.
Totally.
They say that I misused CBS airtime to promote Sirius satellite radio. They claim that I misled them into thinking that I was staying at CBS. I was going to stay there. And also that I hurt CBS financially. I'm not a lawyer, but let me address this stuff. Because you know what? I got to stand up for myself. All right, first they say there was a secret agreement. Well, let's talk about the secret agreement. 14 months before I was to leave Viacom, CBS, whatever they call themselves this day, I announced I was going to satellite radio. I spoke about it on the radio. Every newspaper outlet, every media outlet covered the fact that I was going to Sirius satellite radio. It was published in every newspaper. There was public disclosure of the entire deal, my salary, everything.
There was not public disclosure of his salary. That he's lying about that.
No.
He had to, and he'll talk about it. He had to disclose that he was leaving, so that there was, but it had to be kept secret for tax purposes, like something like IRA. Like he had to, they had to make sure there was no insider trading going on.
Correct. Hey, who is that guy sitting next to him? Is that Don?
No, that's not Don. Don's hair's not that love. It's not that shoe polishy. That must be one of his lawyers. What I was going to say is that because I've been looking at that guy too, and he looks like he's about ready to throw up. Yes. It's not Dominic Barber either.
Right. I'm on fire.
And on top of that, I've been talking about the fact that I'm going to go on satellite radio for the last couple of years. For 5 years, I've been talking about it. But Les Moonves claims it was a secret. Now, how can you have it both ways? How can there be a secret agreement if everybody in the world, including his own radio stations, are broadcasting the deal? He put me on David Letterman. He put me on 60 Minutes. And Les Moonves says...
He didn't put you on there. You went on there, dude.
Right. He wasn't... Yeah. When did Mel negotiate that?
Yeah.
His appearance, like... Did
he write it in your contract? You must go to Letterman to promote Sirius?
Right. Yeah. It's yeah, but these are the days when, well, I guess it was after this when instead of Sirius, he would say,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, there was that point, like we're going to get into the audio, and at one point, like it's not even, man, it's brutal. I'm going through, I screen capped all the days so that for myself, for my own purposes, so I could get all the audio as it happens, like all the plugging and stuff. And eventually he shuts up about it, but then it starts up again. And throughout that whole fucking 2005, honestly, how often did we hear, I can't wait to leave, all this, wait till we get to yeah. like they didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
He didn't know there was an agreement. It was a secret. How can that be? It must be that just like everyone else, Les Moonves isn't listening to his own CBS radio stations or his own CBS television stations.
That lawyer
Les Moonves is telling us it was a secret. Was there anyone in this room didn't know I was going to satellite and what the deal was? You read about it every day in the paper.
Yeah, that lawyer over there looks like he wants to get out of the chair and go run and jump out of a window.
Yes, absolutely. His suit's about to pop open.
Right.
Then they say there was secret compensation. There was no secret compensation. Public disclosure. You all wrote what my salary was. Anyone who's in the broadcasting business knows that satellite radio is a subscription-based service.
They did not write about his salary. They write what they reported his salary was to be.
Correct.
His contract wasn't made public until he sued Sirius in 2010, 2011.
Nobody had these kind of details.
No, nobody. He did. Don did. Sirius did. Right. That was it. And certainly CBS didn't know.
The New York Times themselves, one of my favorite media outlets, wrote about my secret compensation. They disclosed the whole deal. Where's the secret, Les? How is this a secret from him? Then they say I misused CBS airtime. I got something to say about this. They say I misused CBS airtime to promote Sirius satellite radio. Okay. Let's go into that. When I signed my deal with satellite radio, I went to to Joel Hollander, the president of the radio division. And I said, Joel, I've signed a deal to go to satellite. How you want to handle it? He says, I don't want you to talk about satellite radio. I said, okay, I have a point of view on this. Can I talk about it? I've always talked on the air about anything and everything that I do. When I put out a movie, when I put out a book, I talked about it on the air. I said, It's the biggest media story of the year.
Humorous.
Why don't I go on the radio and talk about it? Why should every other place get benefits of ratings? He said to me, I agree with you. You can talk about Sirius Satellite on the air.
No, he did not say you could talk about Sirius Satellite. No, I guarantee it went like this. Once we come up, we figure out the parameters. You can mention that you've signed this deal, but that's it. Like we'll give you a day to talk about it, but that's it.
Right. Yeah. But it was incessant,
Yes.
And he cracks me up how just what a freaking liar and hypocrite he is. Oh, I talk about all this stuff. I talk about, the things that he mentioned, they're all because they have some type of connection to him that puts, more marbles in his pocket, his book or his movie, whatever.
You got it.
Yeah. And then, but as far as details go, no. Like you said, there was so much stuff that we didn't know that we have only been able to get glimpses at through either leaks or lawsuits and with documents that are public record. That's it. He doesn't go into detail on any of this stuff.
Zero.
I want you to do me one favor. Don't mention it by name. Don't call it Sirius. I said, okay, I'm going to call it
And by the way, this was not initially. This was after he was warned by I got it. I will play the audio. Chiasano comes on the air and says, "Okay, right. guys, we got a serious problem here. You guys are using this." It was like the second day after he announced it where he had to come in because Bowie was, piling. He came in and he was like, "You know what? What's also great? They also have this channel that's they're playing all classic rock." I mean, they were that stupid. He didn't have a clue in his head how to handle this. And all he knew was the minute he got that contract and saw, okay, and you know how that works with him. Right. Oh, if we get this many subscribers, you're going to get this money. So the onus was on him from the get-go. Plug. Right. And that was all that was on his mind. Not the possibility that he could get sued for misusing airtime.
Yeah, It was ultimately to, like you say, bump the subscribers up and and get him to where he needed to be.
Yep.
Joe laughed and said, I think that's funny. I went on the air, and for the next 14 months, pretty much, I talked about Sirius Satellite Radio, much in the same way that I've talked about my book deals, my movie deals, anything that's in my life, I talk about.
Right.
For the next 14 months. So you admit you talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if this would have gone to litigation? Oh my gosh, I would have loved to have been CBS's lawyer and have him on the stand.
Well, and then remember we covered that the Baldwin Stephanopoulos interview.
Oh right. Mm-hmm.
I never pulled the trigger and all this bullshit, and it was so edited. It was like such a puff piece. It's something that a good lawyer would say: "Don't ever fucking do this. Do not do this."
No,
you're not going to win
because you have them. You have them. I mean, it's just like, oh wait, well that's not what you said back then. Bingo. Is it? Well, I didn't say that. Oh, you didn't? Well, hold on a second, Your Honor. Let me get Exhibit A, which is the video of this.
Here comes the flat screen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then you bring it in, and then you press play, and you'd be like, okay, so which one is it? Is it what you're telling us now? Or is it what you were telling us then? Because it can't be both. So which one is it, Mr. Stern?
Yeah.
Oh, and then it's like, and you have them because it's like, well, what are you going to say?
Yeah, you
either way, he's going to look like an idiot.
Yes.
Right.
Joel, on several occasions, checked in.
Which his lawyer knows.
You're being fun.
Yep.
Now, since I've supposedly hijacked the airwaves, let's go into the next thing. They have so many delay buttons on my radio show. There are 7 delay buttons for the FCC, and there's a master dump button, they call it. It's called DEFCON 4, that if I say anything out of line, they hit the button and we go to music.
But that is for profanity or things that they find objectionable, not about business stuff. And I guarantee what they did after day two of him talking about Sirius, they had a meeting. Les Moonves, Joel Hollander, whoever the fuck the upper muckety mucks, and said, "Okay, let him hang himself. We'll sue him afterwards."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was it. Like it's going to be way easier than having to tell him you stop. Because so Chiasano when Chiasano comes in on day 2 and tells them, now you got to wrap that up. That's him saying, shut up, Junior.
Right.
This is your last warning.
Right. Right.
And I guarantee Tom had to go to answer to Les Moonves, and Les Moonves says, okay, you gave him the warning. Now he's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Les is saying I somehow hijacked his airwaves for 14 months. Imagine this is the CEO.
Because what are they going to do? Shit can him for 14, a year and a quarter, whatever it is, and then not have him on the air and pay him off for doing nothing and not get that revenue?
Right. Right. Yeah. Like you said, they'd still have to pay him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No. Just give him the rope. He's hanging himself.
Let him hang himself.
Of a government-regulated radio station saying I stole the airwaves from him. How could he have it both ways? They gave me permission to go on the air and talk about it. I went on the
lawyer with the dry mouth. You looking at that lawyer?
Yeah, I keep looking at him, waiting for him to take a cyanide tablet, put it in his mouth, and then chase it with the water and collapse at the table.
The air, called it in. They told me it was funny. They had dump buttons that they never hit. And by the way, 13 months in, a month before I'm about to leave, they suspend me for a day. I went to Joel. I said, what did I do wrong? He said, well, you mentioned Sirius and you promoted a show coming up on Sirius. I said, is that wrong? He goes, I don't want you to advance promote things. I said, I won't do it. Do you want me not to mention Sirius anymore? He goes, no, just don't advance promote things. Fine. I went back on the air. I finished my broadcasts for Viacom. They threw a party for me in the streets of New York costing several $100,000.
That was the end of that was the end of December. Yeah, like that was the the last of a dying breed speech, which was just excruciating, and he looked like he was reading it like as kids you're supposed to remember public speaking, you got to memorize your speech. You might have cue cards or whatever, like you're allowed to hold on, like memory cards. He had a full document, like a scroll that he had to read from badly. It was like that kid that didn't memorize jack shit and forgot he had a speech the next day. Anyway.
The mighty Les Moonves and Joel Hollander came into my studio and said on the air, I almost hit the dump button on Les. He goes, I subscribe to Sirius Radio. I'm going to be out there listening to you every day. Good luck, Howard. Same guy who's saying I misused his airwaves went on my air and said he's a subscriber to Sirius Radio. Pretty interesting. Joel Hollander, the president of the radio division, walked in with a big smile on his face. And he said, I subscribe to Sirius Satellite Radio too. Good luck, Howard. We'll be listening to you every day.
They both supplied you with rope, essentially, asshole. That was great. I remember that.
Now they're claiming I misused CBS airtime. Why didn't they hit the dump button? They had complete control over content. They gave me permission, but now they want to turn around and sue me. A couple of days ago, I went to visit Les and Joel, the mighty two stooges. I went to visit him. I went with my agent. I said, why are you guys suing me? Wouldn't we be better served if you guys concentrated on your radio division and I went and concentrated on satellite? We had a good 20 years together. I showed up every day for work for you guys. I could have, in the last 14 months, I could have not shown up. I could have been sick. I delivered the ratings. I delivered the money to you guys. Why are you picking on me? Why didn't you stop me if you didn't like what I was doing? And Les goes, well, I'm the one who kept you on the air, and I knew I could sue you afterwards.
Yeah.
I said, Les, wait a second. Are you admitting to fraud here? You misled me.
No, he's leaving out he's probably leaving out the part where Les said, Howard, we tried to get you to stop, and you wouldn't because you won't shut up.
Yes. You're hoist to your own petard, shithead.
You told me I could talk about Sirius Radio? And then you knew in the back of your mind you were going to sue me? He said this. This guy's a CEO of a company. Let me tell you something.
He reminds me.
Prediction.
Yeah.
He reminds me of like clients I used to have that would get fixated on one thing in like a police report or something, right? Like,
right.
You know, and they would go like, see right there, you know, this whole case, man, it should be dismissed. And I'm like, why?
Right.
Man, that cop said I had a red shirt on. I had a blue shirt on. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't freaking matter. You know, I go, what's going to happen is they're going to come to court and they're going to go, now, officer, you said he had a red shirt on. Did he have a red shirt on? No, you know what? I was mistaken. It was a blue shirt. Oh, okay.
Fine,
we all make mistakes.
It's a triple murder case. Let's throw it out.
Right. Yeah, you know that the shirt that he said that was covered in blood? It was covered in blood, but it was a red shirt, not a blue one.
Right.
I'm like, right, okay. But this reminds me of that kind of logic where like he's stuck on this, you know, where he feels like his lawyers could put Mel on the stand and get him to say, now, isn't it true that you got on the air and said that you're going to listen to Sirius?
Right.
Yes.
And?
Right.
Right.
Your Honor, we move for a directed verdict. I think we're done here.
Yeah,
no.
All they did, and I remember those because I listened to the last month of the December of 2005. Like, so they let him hang himself for a year and a bit, and then they got on to say their farewells, and it was just corporate speak to get him to just keep talking about it. Like they knew. There's like, okay, go ahead. Yeah, we're gonna just feed more into it. Like we're not going to be sued. We're suing you. Like there's nothing you could say about like this isn't going to protect you when it comes time to deliver the lawsuit.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah, like, but Howard seems like, you know, like, aha, you know, that's, you know, I've got the key to the case right here. It's going to end everything. And it's like, no, it's, you know, like you said, I happily remember those episodes too, where it was very, like you said, very corporate speak, very, you know, we wish you well in your future endeavors, Howard, and we're going to be pulling for you at Sirius, and I'm going to be listening, and I know you're going to be entertaining, and blah, 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 blah.
That's right. And the other thing was, someone might ask, okay, you know, did they get a hold of his contract at Sirius? Did they find out about this stuff surreptitiously? I don't believe so. They could have. They could have been told it. No, I think they found out as soon as he went over, and once he sold the stock, that was already part of like a warning flag right there. Right. And even if they didn't know his stuff, they could have sued him on the basis of bad faith talking, not agreeing to talk about Sirius for, you know, do that long promotion on the air. Right. So that alone would have been plenty as far as I'm concerned. And why they dropped it is beyond me. I really don't know why they thought like they definitely had a case for it to sue him successfully in court.
Mm-hmm. They settled, from what I recall, right? Didn't they settle this?
Yes, they absolutely did. And the thing that was the thing that I think you pointed it out, that it was indicated Sirius paid $2 million for the cassette, like the tapes, his archives.
Right.
But it didn't disclose how much Howard had to pay to get those tapes. So it could have been 20 million, 50 million. It could have been 25 million. They had some substantial value to him. And I would hazard to say that he went quite out of pocket for those tapes because they were whatever he thought of his intellectual property, they were CBS's property.
Right.
Yeah, there's just no arguing about it. Like they owned. It's not like Carson when he sued NBC. Not sued. He renegotiated with NBC and got the rights to his show. That was part of the deal to continue in the early '80s, and then all that money and the more vacation time and stuff. This wasn't that. He did not own those cassettes.
Right. Yeah. So you're right.
This guy he's the one perpetrating the hoax. He's a very good guy at picking television shows that you will like to watch. He cannot run CBS radio. He doesn't know a thing about radio. He's what we call in the business a star effer. You know what that means? It means that David Lee Roth on paper sounds good. Adam Carolla has a name. He chose these people because he thinks you're going to listen just because they have a name. He's going to run that radio division into the ground, mark my words. And you know, he won't take any responsibility. Joel Hollander will be fired. But believe me, Les is in on the whole deal. Now, isn't it funny? I'm the same guy who misused CBS airtime And they put me on 60 Minutes, David Letterman. Now, why do you think they put me on there? They asked me to speak about Sirius satellite radio. Why? Because they knew it was good for ratings. And in the same way they knew it was good for 60 Minutes, in the same way they knew that it was good for David Letterman, they knew if I went on the radio, it would be good for the radio ratings. Plain and simple.
That lawyer's fucking chomping at the bit there. Like, dude, you're an idiot. They and this throwing these, you know, these red herrings in there. Oh, they knew if I went on, they would be good radio. And in fact, people were fed the fuck up. I remember reading at the time, like going into forums, and they're like, God, this promotion is brutal. I can't wait till he leaves so he can shut the fuck up about it. I'm sure in 97, people were saying, I can't wait till this movie's out so he can stop talking about it.
Oh, yeah, they definitely were. They definitely were. It was that way. And with the books, with everything, it was the merger. Oh my God, it was just incessant. The merger. Yeah.
It's that narrow focus. It's that hyper focus on one subject. And when it was AGT later, I mean, that was everything that occupied his mind. It was always one thing, the same thing. He wouldn't shut up. And finally, fans would call in and say, okay, enough. We get it. Like anything else, dude.
That was the big one, man. That AGT. Oh my God, that was horrible.
That was, to me, that was the final nail in the show. Like when he did that and decided to make the show a big, like an adjunct of AGT, and then decided to go on about it. I'm sure people were dropping out like flies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They say I misled them into thinking I was staying at CBS. I had been talking about going on satellite for the last 5 years. I'd had it with the FCC. I gave them 14 months' notice. I had direct conversations with Joel Hollander before I signed my deal with Satellite, months in advance, and I said, Joel, under no circumstances, under no amount of money do I want to broadcast under the FCC regulations anymore. I don't think you guys have stood up. I don't think you guys have defended us. I don't want to be involved with terrestrial radio anymore. Les Moonves, to the newspapers, made the same statement. I don't think there was anything we could have done to keep Howard Stern on terrestrial radio. He said it. It's his quote. But somehow I misled them into thinking I was staying at CBS. How can you have it both ways? Either I misled you or I didn't. Then they say I hurt them financially. Well,
I love that he's flustered. He doesn't know where he just completely trails off there. That was great.
I think he was waiting for like Baba Booey to run in and go, "That's right, boss." That's right.
Exactly. Or Robin. Yeah.
Guess what? The last 14 months that I was on the air, they had record revenues, sold out, 21 minutes of commercials an hour on my show.
Now, it is true that they were billing like crazy in the last however many months because he was leaving, but it was not record anything. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, actually.
Well, it's, you know, you could put all of this in the context of, or it's interesting to think about it in light of the fact of, you know, where terrestrial radio was then to where it is now. I mean, CBS sold off their radio division, right? Like it's non-existent.
I believe so. Yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, there's been all this consolidation, you know, there's probably only, I don't know what, maybe one or two, you know, companies that control. Well, that's how it is in everything in America now. But it's seriously like I think there's only one or two major, you know, like iHeartRadio and whoever the hell owns that, and maybe a couple of other, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's some independent stations around somewhere, but nationally there's, you know, there's been this huge consolidation in places like CBS Radio of, you know, I mean, I got to give Howard credit on that one. I mean, it doesn't even exist anymore.
Right. But to the point that he's trying to make, like they're, you know, like they this is not something, this is looking at a dying mountain lion and saying, well, that mountain lion's going to die. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, like it's the way radio was going to go, and he knew it, and so did Don.
True. And I was getting ready to say that. Like, yeah, radio is just dead for the most part, you know?
Yeah.
How did I hurt them? How did I damage them? I sat in a meeting with Les just a couple of days ago. He says, I have damages. I said, Les, how do you have damages? He goes, I'm not making any money at the radio division. I go, Les, I'm allowed to leave. It's not my fault. He goes, oh, that's not what I meant. This lawsuit is a personal vendetta against me to distract me and to distract you. The radio division is in shambles.
Okay, I think we played enough of that so you guys get the point. And even eventually, like there's another fucking 7 minutes left, and eventually he goes, the lawyers kind of make they show him, they give like a little motion off camera, and he's like, well, have I gone on too long? So they just kind of, off the stage, dickhead.
Yeah, exactly. They're like doing the slashing motion with their across their necks. Like, please stop.
So what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to go into the what do you call it? The days that were I've got it here, October 6, 2004. So here's the first clip. Wiggy praises Viacom and Les Moonves.
And I want to say Viacom has done a miraculous job of supporting me. Really miraculous. They have not backed down. Clear Channel, bunch of scumbags, backed down to the government. And Viacom, under the great Sumner Redstone, Mel Karmazin, who was here for all these years and now no longer is here. And I have to say, since Mel has left, Leslie Moonves has been fabulous to us. He has given us as much freedom as he can under the circumstances. And Leslie and Joel Hollander have put us on in 7 new markets, I think it is, or 9.
9, something like that, yeah.
Good company.
So imagine playing this to a fucking judge. After that press conference, right? So the next one's called "It's Not About Money." Yeah, okay.
So now I know I have 15 months left on my contract, and I had said to my agent, and I sat down with him in a meeting, and I've had lots of conversation about it. I said I don't really want to go on with radio anymore. I'm done, and it's not an issue of money. It's not an issue of people haven't been nice to me. I don't want to do it anymore. It's not fun for me anymore.
Okay. Next one. Bullshit about ratings and ad billings.
Would be leaving terrestrial radio, this kind of radio, and moving to satellite radio, taking myself off the air. At the height of my ratings have never been higher. The revenues have never been higher for this show.
Bullshit.
This company, Viacom, graciously has said to me, we will sign you for another 5 years. And I hesitated, and I told Joel Hollander, I can't do another 5 years here. It's too restrictive. It doesn't allow me to be myself.
And there's no guarantee it won't become more restrictive.
That's right.
You just don't know.
And I'm tired of the fighting. I don't think Tom's a bad guy. Tom is a good guy. But I can't fight with him every day about the button and hitting the button.
It was never about that. He didn't give a fuck. Honestly, he went in for a negotiation or a pre-negotiation, and he got wind from Don that he was going to make less money if he signed a new deal. Like that was all of it.
Yeah, this FCC stuff is a red herring.
Yeah.
I can't sit there and be the bitch dog.
And he's not the last person. Even if he didn't censor it, there'd be another guy you don't even know hitting a button.
So I started to think, what would be the impact if at the end of 15 months, of course I have a contract here and I'd have to honor it, which I will. What if I moved to Sirius satellite radio and rebuilt radio?
So number 4, guys, when an announcement is also a commercial.
Right.
And 2 days ago, I signed a contract with Sirius Radio, Sirius satellite radio. Wow. I signed a deal that will start in 2006 as soon as I'm done here, and I will move to satellite radio. And of course, I would hope that my team will come with me if they want to.
So this is no different, by the way, than when he left WNBC, when he left Washington to go to WNBC and left Robin and Fred high and dry.
Right.
Like, and she had to go back to Baltimore because her deal was off the table that they offered her, which she got through his lawyers. She asked for a certain amount. Like she consulted his lawyers. And she asked for a number, and they met it. Like they said, "Wow, okay, yeah, sure." And it was something like $450,000 over 5 years, which was ungodly money for her at that time.
Right,
and just about anybody.
If you want to continue, I couldn't breathe a word of this to anybody because of a bunch of reasons. Some of them having to do with stock and stuff like that. SEC, all that.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that has been removed now? You can say this?
I can say it now because I've signed the deal. And I thought long and hard, what do I want to do with my future?
Did you inform the people here?
No.
Oh.
Because there was no reason to. This is...
Wow. Wow. Yeah, you talk about exhibits. Here we go.
Yeah.
Nothing to do.
So you said you didn't have to inform CBS, right?
Right.
No, I never said that. Oh, you didn't? Hold on a second here. Press play.
There you go.
I'm not breaking my contract. I am going to finish out my contract here. But I am leaving. There's a signed deal. It's a done deal. It's nothing like I'm thinking about it. There's a way to come back. I'm leaving radio, this kind of radio, and I'm going to the future of radio.
This next clip is called More Horseshit Obfuscation. By the way, Robin, you can get your own deal yourself.
This is no knock against Viacom by any means. I think
it's been a wonderful home.
There's no growth for me here. Mm-hmm. I can't go on 50 new markets. I can't, I can't go on in most states in this country because of the FCC.
No, it's because of your content, you fucking idiot. It's your content. You won't go slightly lighter, low key, whatever. You're going into shock mode because that's all you know, and that's you painted yourself in a corner, not the FCC.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What they're doing to me. They've stopped me from doing business.
There have been hindrances. Every market we're not in, it's because there was a roadblock.
And it's a miracle that not only are revenues up, but my ratings are up. It's a miracle.
That we were doing business this way.
That's right.
Miracle.
But I want to grow. I want to reach the whole country. In a flick of a switch, I can now reach the country. And I realize satellite radio is in its infancy, but I do believe, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is, I have signed a contract, done deal, that's it.
So you know where you'll be on January 1st, 2006.
I'll be at Sirius. That's where I'm going to be. And I hope people join me. I hope you join me. And if you don't, well, then it'll be a nice 15-month farewell.
It was nice to know you.
It was nice to know you, but you want to know something? I guarantee you.
You think High Pitch will go?
He will come. It's just, it has reignited a fire in me.
Yeah.
I want to create a brand new medium.
And this also in line with like not telling people what he's going to do. Now he couldn't, I'm sure legally he couldn't tell anybody, but the fact is he would never tell the E people if they were getting rehired at the end of a contract until like with the very last minute. We have audio proof of this. Richie talked about it. So this is, how's Artie and Fred and Jack, sorry, not Jackie, Robin and Bowie, how do they all feel about this kind of bullshit?
Oh, they had to be on total thin ice. Like they didn't know where they fit in.
Yeah. Next one is called Stock Discussion.
Who's got the biggest business going?
It's what Sirius or satellite radio has needed. It needed a big star to come and take it and say, yes, it is the new medium.
Well, Sirius sat me down and they said, look, you're everything to this business. You're the one who can change it. Mm-hmm. You're the one who can bring people and say, and by the way, they have the NFL and all that stuff, and that's great. But the fact of the matter is, in order for it to become a real business,
it has to have something that belongs to it and not everybody else.
Now, I mean, I haven't even told my parents this news yet. I was tempted to tell them, but they told me that you can't because it could affect the stock price. Mm-hmm. That if I breathed the word of this to anyone and they went out and bought Sirius stock, then I would be joining Martha Stewart.
Imagine Ben Stern calling his brokers like, yes, get me some of that Sirius stock. I have a feeling it's going to go up.
Pull out all the stops, buy as much as you can.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Right. So that is why I apologize.
I'm sorry you didn't tell me, though. I could have.
So Robin didn't know.
No.
No one knew.
So this is my big.
No one knows.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're telling me that Tom, sitting down the end of the hall, is hearing this for the first time?
He's hearing it, and he hasn't run in here.
No, I could have, listen, I thought of a million different ways to do this. I could have press released it first, but I didn't want
that would have been silly.
That would have been silly, and
How the hell did you
No,
keep
this was exactly the way you should have done it. Now that I hear the announcement, this is exactly what you should have done.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's here that you communicate, and it's here where you should first break that news.
A night ago, 2 nights ago, I sat and tried to figure out how to do this. And I sat with Don Buchwald and the people from Sirius, and I said, how should we do this? I said, I want to handle this with class. I don't want to, freak anybody out. Or I said, I'm not doing anything wrong. I've decided where my future is. It's not here on this kind of radio anymore. It's with these guys.
Okay, next one's called one of many markets they've never been able to succeed in.
Years.
It's been years that people don't even realize.
There are markets that you've never been on in that people have always wondered about. The first one is Atlanta.
Now, any listeners out there from Atlanta, that was one market. It was true. There's loads. Minnesota, Minneapolis market. Hartford was okay, but then there was like Chicago. Chicago was never a Howard powerhouse.
Yeah, it was. What was that guy's name? Who actually came from Phoenix, was real popular there. Jonathan Brandmeier.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Jonathan Brandmeier, and then Mancow was from Chicago, wasn't he?
Yes, and that's he sued that. Wayne and I just talked about that recently in an episode we cut. That he had to sue this the Everclear or whatever it was called. This not the band. He had to sue this the company that hired him to do radio there because he said they didn't promote me enough, blah blah blah. It wasn't a Howard market, never was going to be. Right. This next clip is called Cough. Opie and Anthony, Cough.
Put this on the map. Someone in radio who is presently working in radio, who's making top dollar revenue, has got to step up and be the first.
Because they beat him at XM. They were over at XM already. And then I love that on their show, he had cut a commercial for XM, and they were playing it on their show. Let me see if I can find that. Hold on. One moment.
Put this on the map. Someone in radio who...
Oh, sorry, not that one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next clip is called Where Did That Third Channel Go To, Howard?
Phones real quick. I just want to... So much like Letterman could produce the time slot after him, your deal includes you producing
three
channels. Yeah. With me, there's going to be the channel that I am on.
Right.
Hopefully all of us, right. if that's what you guys decide. The channel that we will be on will be not premium. You don't pay any extra for it. And it's just a channel.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
And you will have our show, and I would like to, I'm going to invite some other performers to join me on that channel.
Okay, so we know that there were 2 channels, Howard 100, Howard 101. And then he had Abe Cannon's show. He had Fitzsimmons. He had Jay Thomas. He had all kinds of people doing stuff. But there was never a third channel. Maybe what he's talking about is the video component, but I don't believe so. I believe he's talking radio, period.
Yeah, where was that somebody was talking about? It might have been when I was listening to one of the other episodes here, where someone was talking about like Farrell and all those other guys that he used to have on were like paid absolute peanuts,
yes,
to have shows, we know Riley wasn't getting paid anything, but I was surprised to hear that Scotty Farrell wasn't making any money. But God, is he even on the air anymore?
I don't know. I do know that like with the Bubba contract, he started off with $1 million at Sirius XM, and then when it came time to renegotiate, they lowballed him by 80% and said, "Look, here's $200,000, and that's all we can give you."
Wow.
Now the question is, like, do they do that? Now we know that at Sirius, we talked about this in the Marbles episode. They're traditionally, like, what they did with a lot of these big names was they give you 50%, anywhere from 40 to 60% of the original contract to continue. But that's way less than 40 to 60%. So is that on the basis of people weren't tuning in and they knew the metrics? It had to be.
Yeah, it had to.
And ad revenue. Like if ad revenue wasn't worth it, then no, you're not getting that money.
Right.
Next one is called I Call Bullshit on the Howard Stern Radio Channel Story.
The first time in my career, not only can I use my name for myself, but I would like to embrace some other performers.
Right. Wow. That's really exciting.
I tried doing that here. I tried to start a Howard Stern radio network, and for whatever reason, because of government interference and everything else, everyone said, well, you can't do it.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no way
intervention.
he would have had to pay for that himself, and he wasn't going to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Yeah. He's not going to do that. And then he found some suckers that would.
Well, so basically what he's suggesting is I'm going to have a 24-hour Howard Stern channel on regular radio.
That wasn't ever going to happen.
No, of course not. Fuck, what is he going to have a late shift with Eric the Midget, doing midnight, he's doing Allison Steele. Coming up next, here's Foghat.
Or he would do that review of American Idol, with the original co-host
Dunkelman.
That was so funny. Yeah, Dinkelman. That was
Brian Dunkelman. Yeah,
that was so funny.
When they start goofing on him about that was great.
That was so funny.
And all these other stations that we're on, they have other programming. They're not going to buy your afternoon show. They're not going to buy your morning show. They're not going to buy that show. They're not going to buy this show.
You can't completely supplant somebody else's program.
This show will be commercial free that you're speaking of?
I don't know the answer to that. There might be some sponsors as well.
Liar.
Such bullshit. Now, I do recall that there were far fewer commercials on Sirius than there were on terrestrial initially, but even that went by the wayside.
Oh, yeah, and that's pretty much the case for all of their channels. I mean, they were all like that, but then it really changed. I mean, yeah.
Didn't take long.
No.
Which will afford us the time to at least prepare during the spots.
I was going to say, I mean, it's on a regular channel on Sirius. It's not a premium channel.
No,
so I would
regular channel.
It would take some sponsors.
I've also been offered a second channel that I have plans for, and I would rather not discuss them right now, but I think it will blow your mind. And also a third channel, which will be a premium channel, which I would like to talk about also. And why?
It was also bullshit because he was on the premium. You had to buy whatever the top of the whatever package to get him initially, didn't you?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Is he going to start talking about his notebook full of ideas?
Oh God, not yet. But he will be. And my God, what fucking ideas were they? Jesus.
Would have to be a premium channel, but those are things for the future. So, Kathy Lee, if you're listening, there is a home for you.
You want to talk to Kathy Lee?
Kathy Lee will have a show. She will follow us.
So right now as it stands...
Our midday girl.
Right now as it stands, there's a channel on Sirius from 6 to 10 or whatever time you decide. That's Howard Stern, and we don't know anything about the rest of it yet.
Now, what time
I know some things, but
working?
yeah.
Is there a day part?
Yes. We will be the morning show, and that show will be repeated later in the day as well, especially for different time zones.
All right, I got a big question. Right?
Wow.
And you may not be able to answer this. How many years did you sign the contract for with Sirius?
5-year commitment, which shows you my level of commitment.
Yeah.
I will.
We're going to die together.
Let me tell you something. I didn't make this easily because there was a part of me that wanted to go off and sort of reinvent myself another way.
Yeah, right. So, guys, that was all from October 6, 2004. Now here's from the 7th, and there's only 4 clips, but I think you'll appreciate this. This first one is called "Yet More Promo."
So, I mean, there's a lot of confusion about what is going to be happening. Yes, Gary.
I got some weird voicemails yesterday, and I shouldn't have erased them because I was so mad when I heard them, and then I was looking at the email. You know what's something I didn't see coming?
What?
People calling you a pussy, saying you're giving up.
Oh my goodness!
Crazy.
No. As a matter of fact, listen, this ain't giving up. This is taking the boldest step of my career. I'm leaving a very lucrative business.
Yeah, it's proven that you can make a living here and get an audience here.
Not only can I make a living here, Infinity Radio came to me as early as 2 years ago, and you know this, Robin.
Oh yes.
2 years ago, and asked me to sign up for more years here.
In fact, I can tell you the whole evolution of the story because I had talked to Mel about it, and he said, what I plan to do is approach Howard early, long before his contract ends this time, and see about extending the deal.
And Joel Hollander, after Mel left, has been talking to me every day about it. And Sumner Redstone and Les Moonves gave their blessing. So this isn't a case of, leaving because I'm some sort of pussy. I make a great living here. Believe me.
Yeah, okay, we believe you. And the next one is called Commercial, Not a Commercial.
While satellite is a new industry, me going to Sirius satellite radio isn't the only reason why satellite radio is going to take over. Anybody I know who has satellite in their car, for example, they talk about how they love their commute. Now, let me explain something. You get all this, and now I don't want it to sound like a commercial, but here is my point. It's not just about me. They got the NFL.
The technology.
You're driving around, you can hear all the games without commercials.
That's you.
You got the. Have you ever heard the quality? You look at your display panel, all of a sudden you can see what artists are playing on the. These are things beyond me. I believe in the medium.
I thought he was going to go instantly into, and it's even better if you have a SIM card. That's the future.
Well, I was going to ask you, if you're CBS lawyers and you're listening to this, because it's already and you think if I have these archives, you think they couldn't access this shit?
Oh my God. Yes, of course.
Okay. So this one is called, this is the one last of the short clips is called Fuck Everyone Else's Deal.
Let me ask you something. Just because you signed with Sirius, does that mean the rest of the crew signed, or do they have to make their own deal with them, like Robin and Artie?
I'm the only one signed with Sirius, but like I said yesterday, I'm anticipating that everybody wants to come along. Nobody's forced to come along, of course. But, needless to say, I have full faith we will all be together.
It was funny because yesterday we were all very happy, and then, Fred and I looked at each other and said, what are we so happy about?
Well, I'll tell you why you're happy. I'll tell you why you're happy and why Fred's happy.
I was happy for you. That never
Thank
changed.
You.
Okay. Now, the last one is called Chiasano Lowers the Boom.
I mean, you're not talking about just me on there. I mean, they got hundreds of channels. Yeah. The NFL. You have it, right?
I've had it for a year now. Okay. There's a 60s channel, a 70s channel, an 80s channel. I'm not doing a commercial. I'm just saying that I always tell people, what's your favorite kind of music? Somebody goes, I love blues, but instrumentals only. They got a channel for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so narrowcast for anything that you love that it's worth it. But you being on it is amazing.
And then, you can go on.
Vinyl channel. It's all vinyl. My favorite channel.
Pieces of vinyl.
Pieces of vinyl. 100.
Yeah, exactly.
And listen to, sometimes when I'm in the car and something big has happened, there's CNN, there's BBC, there's everything you can think of.
Are you coming with me?
You haven't offered me a job that I know of.
No, he just wants you to come along.
I want you to come with me.
You're dying for me to go with you. I'm
with big news.
I know it's huge news.
Thank you.
But can we call it with the commercial for satellite radio?
Oh.
Well, I spoke to...
So, guys, this is day 2. This is day 2 after the announcement.
Oh my God! And it is nonstop. And he's got everybody piling on. He's got Bowie piling on. He got Robin on board. Oh yeah, and this is the most Howard has ever talked about the NFL ever.
You got it. And also, these are also people, as far as we know, that don't have anything invested in it because they don't have their deals.
Right, but they must. I have to believe that the way they're talking and the way they're kind of excited about everything, that it's pretty much a done deal with Bowie and with all of them, really.
Do you think after the announcement he meets, like Buchwald meets with Jackie and not Jackie? Sorry, I keep saying Jackie. With Fred and Robin and says, "Look, we have it in our we have offers for you, and but you just don't mention it on the air." But this is what we're going to make sure you guys are going to be compensated if you come with us.
Correct. And here, sign here, and don't ask me any questions.
Because my only reason for saying that is because if they don't have deals, could Don count on their loyalty to plug Sirius like this as vociferously if they weren't plugged in?
No, yeah, that's my point. They're far too into this to be just hanging on a string. I mean, think about it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense the other way. If they didn't have deals in place, why would they be so excited?
Yeah, wow, this is great. Howard's leaving. we're unemployed.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Joel.
Okay.
And I told him we had a discussion about how to handle this. I don't know if you spoke with him.
I talked to him. I didn't talk to him specifically.
Well, we had a conversation, and I plan to handle this with a lot of dignity and never to put my thumb in the eye of Viacom or anyone.
Oh, I know that.
And it is my firm belief, Tom, that, by the way, This is, no knock against radio. $20 billion a year business and still growing. Huge. Yeah. Satellite radio has not made a profit to this date.
Right.
Let's understand that.
Still
Viacom, my friends, and hopefully my business partners in the future.
Yep.
And that's, already being spoken about. So in no way, I went to Joel and I discussed the parameters, and I think I'm within them. I don't want to do a commercial for satellite.
They wanted me to be a partner, Robin.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I do want to talk. People want to ask me questions.
I understand.
And I will try to. I will try to avoid saying, go out and order now. And I'm not saying that. No, I'm not encouraging anyone to do that.
Yeah, you are.
Look, don't commit that triple homicide, guys. Trust me, it's not in your best interest. Don't go to the hardware store and get an axe. Don't drop a will. Fuck.
If they want to encourage people to do that, let them buy advertising. But I'm trying to handle this where I can tell you why I made the decision I made.
I understand. I understand the need for you to communicate with the audience, perfectly. And I'm sympathetic to that.
Right.
But I also don't think that we need to be talking about all the vast channels, the 60s,
sorry.
the 70s. So you know what?
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
I don't even know what channel they put me on. But don't you think the number should be 69? If I'm number 69,
yeah, I would say
would that
yes.
be appropriate?
I couldn't argue that.
Yeah.
I plan to request
part of your genius.
Yes. I know you're concerned.
Okay.
And if I've stepped over that line, I will rein it in.
Howard, I stepped over that line.
Yeah, all right.
And I did too.
For overall context, I'm just trying to say, I'm glad you talked to Joel about it.
Yes, I made sure to talk to him and make sure that he knew that I was leaving here anyway. And maybe this is a chance for us to even be together in the future.
I hope so.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I rest my case.
Honestly, the prosecution rests, Your Honor. Guys, we think it's a perfect way to sign off on this one for now. We're going to have more clips, and we're going to have another episode of this hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Cary and I will get recording sooner than we normally do. We usually do about one a month, but I know that he's going to be near the tail end of the month in about a week. You're going to be incommunicado for the certain amount of time, but then maybe in a couple of weeks we'll be able to draw one up and get going on this again. Down the I'm crying like a bitch in Les Moonvest's office. I love that audio.
I love that one too. That is so funny. I can't wait. But yeah, I'll be in New Orleans next weekend. So pray that there's no hurricane. Weather hopefully cooperating with you. Are you going to be seeing any live music when you're down there? I hope so. I've got a buddy who, a fraternity brother of mine, who's actually from New Orleans, and it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because my mother was from East Texas, and I actually have some relatives that live in northern Louisiana. But I've never been to New Orleans before, and neither has my wife, and she had relatives in Houston. So, I mean, to be that close, but to never go. But anyway, this fraternity brother, a friend of mine, is from there, and he's gonna give me kind of a list of where to go to eat and places to go, and like you said, there's always live music, so I'm sure we're gonna catch something good. Oh, good. I'm really excited for you. I've never been, but I want to ask you, when's the last time you saw this fraternity brother? Like when can you remember the last time you had lunch with him or whatever? Yeah, it was probably about maybe about a year ago. Good. But we stay in touch like through social media and we text each other from time to time. He actually works for Southwest Airlines, and great. And so he's actually always there. Because he's got flight privileges. And he's periodically there. I follow him on social media, and his father is in like a assisted living facility, and he goes down there pretty frequently to check on his dad. Cool. Yeah. Well, I hope you have a great time. Guys, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Any shout outs to anybody that you'd like? No, just glad to be part of the network again, and look forward to the second part, man. It's going to be good. That's going to be good.
It is going to be good. And I'm going to allow you, rather than have a dedication, I'm going to allow you a request. What we're doing now, when we have some of these episodes, if it isn't on this one, it'll be on another one. What song would you like to play us out to? Because I'm going to tag it on at the end.
Maybe some D. Snyder. So we're not going to take it.
Okay. Have a good one, guys. We love you.
All right.
Well, just real quick, I was also calling because I just wanted to say my tour starts on the 17th of June.
Thanks, Eric. All right, buddy.
Eric, what? I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I said the tour that I'm
Take care, man. Don't ever call back.